All right, everybody. I'm going over the organic results, or not results, let's say the organic answers, which is the 2017 question number 2. Remember in the CPR, or not, the highlighter CPR packs, I have a red pen in there, so please grab that, so that way when you're annotating it or making any corrections, that way it's very clear what is your work and what's your kind of further notes from what I'm talking about. This one has your classic reaction scheme, and you guys are learning very quickly that memorizing all those reactions are really, really important. Do you guys want to see the answers to this, or do you guys want me to process it and show you how to get through it? Process it? Okay. So, I know I go on and on and on about this, but it is so helpful if you guys just annotate it, because then it helps you pull information from your brain. And I think, does it look like? No, that doesn't relate to that one. So, as I go through this, I'm just going to annotate what the different reagents are used for and what the different functional groups are, so that way it helps me kind of think about what's going on. This here is my alkene. I'm not surprised to see it so centered, because we know those alkenes are really good in navigating through the reaction scheme. I can see over here that that's an alcohol. All right, I see over here that that is an oxidant. And I see over here that's another oxidant. I see over here I have a hydrogen and a bromine. So that one I can tell that's an addition reaction. And I have also hydrogen and bromine again. So that's another addition reaction. And I'm trying to see why they would possibly give you 2, and I'm thinking that might be because of major minor, would be my guess on that, and that's kind of strange. They don't have it labeled as major minor. I'm going to see if anywhere else in the question does it talk about what that is, and it doesn't. However, what I can see here, with this addition reaction, I can see that there's a halogen in there. So from that information, I know both of these are going to be haloalkanes. See how I'm pulling and getting that? The thing to kind of remember with these haloalkanes, I see that this here is a primary alcohol, so this haloalkane must be a primary as well. So that's going to help me make sure I put the right thing in the right box. The other thing that I note is I'm going from a haloalkane to an alcohol, so this one's a substitution reaction. And then the last thing I look at is I go from a primary alcohol with an oxidant, and that is my carboxylic acid. I'm trying to think what else could we figure out by looking at this one. This one I actually don't remember off the top of my head, so I might actually pull up the marking schedule to see what it's supposed to be, because that one isn't on my head. What was P1? Oh, okay, interesting. That's going to form your diol. I didn't think permanganate was a strong enough oxidant to do that. All right. Are we okay with how I filled that in? So now that I know all that information, it's just a matter of kind of doing the different steps and putting things in. This one only, oddly, went up to a merit point. In fact, there's only one excellence point in this question, which I thought was quite odd. But I'll show you guys the marking so you can actually see it. All right, so if this is a diol, we're breaking the double bond. We have... Ooh, I might get a thin pen to make it a little easier for me to fit it in those little tiny boxes. So I can find my teeny tiny pen. So that would be CH2OH, CHOH, and CH3. This one here, that one's the primary version. So since that's the primary, the bromine needs to go on carbon number 1. Are you okay with how I figured that out? Because I know from this part of the table. Yes? All right, CR2, CR2, CR3. That means that this is going to be the flip version of it with the bromine on carbon number 2. So CH3, CH, Br, CH3. Which one's the major, which one's the minor? In case this is a major minor question. Do you guys know which one's which? By looking at it? Ooh, caught you off guard. Remember, in this case, the rich get richer. So this one's more likely to gain the hydrogen because it has 2. This one only has the 1. So this one is going to be major. This one will be minor. It's very odd they didn't label it on the assessment. Usually they do. But I guess because they've given you this primary alcohol over here, they're figuring that you guys could figure that out and put it in the right boxes. All right. Cool. For my substitution reaction, again, we need to know our reagents. I don't have that one off the top of my head, which is not surprising. All right, R2 is your KOH in alcohol. Not alcohol, aqueous. Because if it was an alcohol, there'd be a elimination reaction. This one here is just going to be my acidified water, or you can do dilute sulfuric acid. We'd accept that too. And then this last one going down is my carboxylic acid. And you don't have a hydrogen on that one. Are we okay with all of that? I figure it's worth me going through the reaction table because I know that's probably one of the harder questions. In most cases, the reaction table, if you can fill that in, it's an excellence point. Very odd on this internal that it, or not in this internal, this mock exam that it isn't. But I'll show you guys the full marking schedule. This part B here was just making sure you understood, again, your reactions, but individually, so luckily you don't have to think about sequence. This looks like it's a little typo here, because that should probably be 1 hydrogen, because you have the chlorine attached to it. Do you guys need me to go through any of these, or should I just pull it up on the marking schedule so you can see the answers? I think this one's more straightforward. Yeah? Let me pull up the marking schedule. Trying to balance so that way we don't have too much time wasted. All right, so for part B, I did it twice, actually. People don't know how to count, is what it is. Oh, wait, no, I see what they're doing. It's actually on carbon number 1, I think. There's a typo in the exam paper, and then I'm not sure which one they're referring to on this exam. But whichever you would have answered, I would have just marked it correct, because that's the mistake on the exam. Anyway, first one is your elimination reaction. That's your product. This is just the neutralization reaction. Don't skip over the neutralization reactions because you often need to write them as equations and you often see them popping up every so often. Just be mindful with the neutralization reactions. All you're doing is removing the hydrogen and adding whatever the cation is for that base. And if you were going to name it, the suffix ending for the carboxylic acid changes to O8. And then you just add the name of the cation, so it'd be sodium something ethanoate. And the last one was just substitution, because you're just going from a haloalkane to an amine. You guys okay with that? All right, so for the first 2 sections, 4 correct was the achieved. Anything from that list, all of them correct for the merit. Again, very harsh merit point. I wouldn't expect it to be that harsh on the exam. Especially with that tricky, like, not labeling the major and minor for you. The second one here, 2 products correct. Naming 2 types of reaction, they gave you 2 achieved points. Getting 5 correct out of those 6 gave you merit points. They were allowing for 1 mistake in that question. That one was actually kind of generous, I would say. It's not really any writing to it, it's just recall. All right, let's look at C. Before we go through the marking schedule so you can see what it's like. All right. So again, I highly recommend you go through and annotate your questions. So we have 1-chloropropane. So this is my haloalkane. And that's a primary. Undergoes reactions with aqueous potassium hydroxide, as well as alcoholic potassium hydroxide. Oh, we're having one of those questions where we're comparing and contrasting 2 very similar reagents, and you have to have that memorized. Remember what I said quite dramatically? Alcoholism is a very serious disease, and it often results in the loss of family members and friends, and so you're going to be eliminating things out of your molecule. So that one's going to be your elimination reaction, and that one's going to be your substitution reaction. For this, they want you to compare and contrast. Compare and contrast are key. Make sure you're using those linking words. I want to see however, but, although, those sort of things. It usually is in the excellence point. Your discussion should include types of reactions, equations. Everybody forgets about the equations and then they don't get excellence. Names of the organic products and reasons for the use of alcoholic solvent rather than the aqueous solvent. That is quite an unusual question. I haven't seen that one pop up, but it's good for you guys to see it just in case it does. So, once I found my mouse again, we'll look at the marking schedule. All right, so just as I was saying, we know that when it's aqueous, it's substitution, and when it's alcohol, it's elimination. And then it just kind of goes through what a substitution reaction is. Show the equation and show the product. Name the product. Remember, tick everything off for both of those reactions. For the elimination one, this has a small molecule being removed, just giving you the definition of elimination. In this case, it would be HCl. KOH is dissolved into alcohol to prevent the nucleophilic substitution. So that is something new that you guys haven't seen before. I'll highlight it. That's the justification they were looking for. And then again, the reaction scheme that you're looking at. I'm surprised in this equation that they don't have the byproduct, which is that hydrochloric acid. So I would say put that in there to be on the safe side because I have seen them mark down in the level 3 exams for getting the byproducts. So I'll add it there for you guys. Cool? And I'm not typing things properly. There we go. All right. Looking at the breakdown, both reaction types for the achieve point or one type of reaction and one equation. So you only got 1 point for that second, or that part C. Both types of reactions and equations was going to get you the merit. And then here's the weird excellence one. Complete discussion of both reactions. Need comparing statements. How often do I say you need to have those linking words? I'll highlight again to remind you guys of that. Especially between the KOH, aqueous, and the alcohol. So things like whereas, or however, although, those things. Here is the breakdown of the points. Again, I think it's quite strange. There's only one excellence point in the whole thing, E7 and E8, E7 being the minor omission. I think realistically what you would expect to have in the exam is that this would also be an excellence point, and there'd be 2 excellence points. But I would still expect them to say 2 excellence points for both of these. Minor omission for the E7 is most likely what they would do for a question like this. But be mindful that some of these mock exams are designed to be a little bit harder than the actual exam to over-prepare you. Yeah? Any questions? No? All right. Yes, Elvis. Yeah, so I don't know if you guys noticed, I'm posting it day by day. I'm posting the recordings and I'm posting scans of my written work and the answer key. I'm only giving the answer keys right now for things I've covered in class. I'm not giving the answer key to everything. I'll give you those on the weekend so that way I know when I collect your work, it's not just copied. All right? Cool. Hand in that question and hand in any other work that you completed this period that's done. If it's not done, go ahead and take it home and finish it up, and you can hand it in tomorrow. Feel free to grab yourself a little prize for getting some work done today.